All right.
Yes.
All right. So, guys, I have started the recording. So, this particular session from now will be started. Okay. Now, so if I talk about the AWS cloud, very first thing is we need to understand the today's agenda. Okay, we need to learn what are the topics and what are the things that we have to go through. Okay, and before that, even I understand that we as a training curriculum, I should guide you that what are all the topics that we are going to cover and what are the basic things that we should know before even dive deeping into uh, the training. Okay, so today's agenda that we have decided for this particular training is, let me write it down here. So agenda for today. Okay, and the very first thing is that we are going to cover here is today, what if I talk about the particular training curriculum part, what will be the or what is the virtualization. Okay, so like even before going into that, we will understand what is the virtualization before going into the cloud technology, and we will also understand the types of cloud. Okay, what are the multiple types of clouds are available in the market and how we can utilize them. Apart from that, we will understand what are the types of service models available. Now, don't worry about that. These are not the technical terms. These are the general terms being used into the cloud technology. That is fine. And now we will also cover the what are the AWS certifications that we have to go through if we are performing a job or when we are doing anybody who is recently working, he would be knowing that the certifications are not mandatory, but yeah, I will guide you when we will go through this particular topic. And then we will also cover the syllabus of this particular training. Okay, AWS training that we have opted here. So this will be the agenda for me today. If we got the time, then we will go through another part of this training. If time will allow me, then I will keep it this as optional for today. So I will understand that what is the global infrastructure of this particular AWS environment. Don't worry about the technical term. When we will go, we will understand. Not an issue with that. Infrastructure. Okay. Also, we will understand that uh, what would be the way by which we can access our AWS services. So I will call it as a AWS account configuration. Okay, no issues. So now these are the optional topics that I will cover if time will allow me. Okay. Now, very first thing is that when we have opted this training as a KR Network Cloud, when we decided to learn about the AWS cloud, the very first thing you should have into your mind is what are the prerequisites that I should have to perform this training. So very basic thing that I can understand is, okay, I can consider some of you people would be as a freshers who are not doing any job or who came through some colleges and then started doing this training. Okay. Some of you would be working professionals. That is fine for me. But what I want to make sure here is that we need only few prerequisites to perform this training. That is very any OS understanding. Okay. Any over understanding, operating system understanding. That would be either Windows or Linux or Mac OS. Anything you would have prerequisites on that. That is fine for me. Okay. But what I'm considering is in the today's market, if you are in this competitive world, um, what I consider is if you have the good understanding of Linux would be better. That's fine. But for cloud computing, any operating system is fine for me. Okay, that is one thing. Now, when we talk about what is the virtualization, so when I will start my particular topic, what is cloud? But before that, I need to complete this prerequisites. Okay. So, guys, very first thing is that we need to understand why cloud came into the market. Okay, what what are the things that made necessary the cloud technology should pitch in into the market. Okay. So even before the cloud, we were using one thing which was the virtualization, and it was coming from a long era. Okay, it is not that we are started using now. Everybody was using virtualization from a long era. So now I can make you understand that what actually virtualization is called about. Okay, so let's say you have one server. Okay, server is nothing but the combination of, if you take about a server is nothing but a combination of three most important things, which are nothing but the CPU, which you already have in your laptop or computer, memory, which is nothing but called as a RAM in our general language. Okay, and the another thing that we talk about is storage. Okay, so when we combine these three things, we are usually getting the, sorry, we are usually getting the server. Okay, now when you combine all this configuration of multiple capacities, you will get multiple servers. Now, before even to the virtualization, what we were doing is whenever any company requires to host any application, or if they want to run, let's say you are using Google, Facebook, YouTube, these are nothing but the web applications, okay, which you are using through the website, which are using through your Chrome browser. Okay. Now, how these companies or any company who requires to install or deploy the application, we actually use the term called as a deploy. Okay. So if you say, you can, in a general language, you can say install the application. Okay. So ultimately our goal is in the IT is we need servers. Why we need servers? Because we need to install the application so that everybody over the globe can access our application. That's how we run the revenue, and that's how we run the business. Now, when we are going to install the application, you need these three component. Okay. And these three component we are providing into the server. Now, when in the earlier, when virtualization was not there, what we were doing is we were getting these all these components over to the hardware directly. Hardware, we are having these components, CPU, memory, and storage. Now, the problem with using the bare metal hardware was, like, suppose I have 100 GB of, let's take an example. I have 100 GB of storage. Okay. And I have 2 GB of my memory, or let's say 10 GB of my RAM in my server, and let's say I have 10 CPUs available in my server. Okay, so now what I was doing, that for a particular application, let's say I have a application A, means one application only which I want to host. Okay, and I was using all this hardware for a particular application. Okay. Now this was not a wise decision, because if I'm using this particular hardware for one application, what is going to happen is I'm overutilizing my hardware. Okay, because I could have utilized this hardware for another application as well, but for right now I don't have second application which I want to run over to my servers. What I'm doing is I'm overutilizing. Okay. So in the future, let's say if I have to install the second application over my server, what will happen is uh, I don't have any hardware allocation for that application, because I have used all my hardware for one application. So one thing happened at that time is we were using it for the cost wise as well. We are overutilizing for the application wise as well. There's no need of 100 GB of storage for this particular application. No need of 10 GB. 1 GB was enough to do that. Now, now the thing came in the market is called as virtualization. Now there are multiple types of virtualization that we will discuss about in later stage, but very first thing is why we use the virtualization. Virtualization resolve two things here. One thing is that for the cost wise, which is actually called as capex and opex, operational cost and our capital expenditure that we will talk about. But in the basic terms, what you can understand is, as a cost wise, we are not overutilizing. When we are using virtualization, what we are actually doing is we are uh, one software came in the market which called as a hypervisor. Okay, which is nothing but it's uh, it's taking control over to your hardware, and whenever you need for any particular application, you can install any OS or any configuration of the OS, whichever you required. So very first thing that we have come with the virtualization was the hypervisor. Okay, hypervisor was nothing but it is doing it is virtualizing your hardware, okay? Your underlying hardware where you have this configuration. Now, let's say suppose you have right now you have one thing, right now you have one application. You can create a OS over to your machine, okay, which is nothing but your operating system, any Linux or Windows, whatever. Because without OS, how would you configure your applications? Okay, so you need a OS or any platform where you can run your application. So over to this OS, you are, let's say, creating one application A. I am calling it as a app A. Okay. Now this OS, now hardware, let's say we would have, I'm taking the same configuration here, 100 GB of storage, 10 GB of RAM or 10 GB of RAM, and I'm taking 10 CPUs. Okay. Let's say you would have all these components with you over to the hardware. Now, when we have installed the platform or the OS over to it and we install application A, now what is happening is that we are configuring this application as per the requirement. Let's say this application consumes only 1 GB of memory, okay, 3 GB of my storage, so and 2 GB of CPU. So I have remained with another capacity, okay, that I can utilize for my future application. So if you need application B, but not now, but in the future, you can use another OS, another platform where you can deploy your application, and then you can use it. Okay. So now you can also go with the application 2 and application 3, whatever you want to deploy. So the basic thing is that virtualization has given some benefit to us. These benefits were like as per the cost wise, because you are not overutilizing for your application. You are not using complete cost of the hardware. You are saving your cost because obviously the client will pay you when you have the application, multiple application running. And another thing is that you are not overutilizing the hardware. Okay. So that's the basic thing that virtualization has resolved. Now there are multiple types of the virtualization in the market. If you say how many types, I can give you the information about that. So basically, we can divide the types of the virtualization in two categories. Okay, so types, I'm writing here the types of the virtualization. Okay, now what will be the types of the virtualization? So one is the bare metal, means suppose because you have a two categories here. Virtualization is nothing but, as I said, it is nothing but a software which enables your hardware to use effectively. Okay. So that is the definition of it. So one thing is that the bare metal type, bare metal, where you can directly install over to the hardware, where I can write it here, where hardware hypervisor is directly installed over a hardware. Okay. Over a hardware. Another type of the virtualization comes where hypervisor is not directly installed, but hypervisor is installed over operating system. Okay. So these are the subcategories of the virtualization. Okay. Now anybody can give me the example from you if you have some understanding what is where we are in our general life where we are using the second type of hypervisor. Anybody who has some understanding for the virtualization can give me the answer or having some understanding over to it.
Like in a computer, we are using the VM-based software for practicing our
Correct. Correct. Mm.
Linux administrator training. So there, it can we can separate the hardware as per our according our customization.
Correct. So you have given the correct answer. Like in the daily or even in the IT industry as well, we are using this. So suppose you have your own hardware, your laptop or any computer which you want to utilize for which you want to utilize for the virtualization. So what exactly we are doing is we are using open source hypervisor, which are nothing but VMware. Okay,
Yes, sir.
we have Oracle as well, Oracle VM. All
Yes,
right,
sir.
we
Virtual box like.
Oracle VirtualBox, yeah,
Yeah.
given by the Oracle. So these are type of some hypervisor which we can directly install over to the OS. Okay. Now for the bare metal hypervisor, what exactly we are using? We have multiple types of you can see we have ESXi. Okay. If I give you the some example, you have multiple companies which like very first thing is Citrix, which given us Zen type of hypervisor, okay, which you can directly go and install over to the bare metal. We have from Microsoft, we have ESXi host. Okay, so there are multiple types which companies has provided them. So like Citrix is not a hypervisor here. Citrix is a company which provides, as you know, multiple virtualization technologies. Microsoft is a one. If I ask you that, what is the Windows? Okay, somebody has put the question or what? Okay, so if I ask you what is the Windows, is Windows is a company or Windows is an operating system? Can anybody give me the answer?
Sir, Windows is operating system.
Windows is an operating system, but who provides the Windows? Microsoft, right?
Microsoft. Yes.
So in the same way, if I talk about what are the multiple providers of the hypervisor, so there's a VMware. You can have the VMware where it provides the ESXi host. Okay, and you can have the Microsoft, which somebody has given the answer in the chat. Okay, Hyper-V. And if you go for the like kind of OS hypervisor, you have the Red Hat as well, where you can install the KVM and then virtualize it. Okay, so these are the multiple types of yeah, KVM. So there's a multiple types of the virtualization that has been into the market coming from a long era. So virtualization is not a new technology. What I wanted to say, it's again the technology which is coming to the last coming to the lots of the from the past 10 years, 10 to 20 years. And then now the way company has utilized the virtualization to become the cloud, become the cloud companies, okay, or the public clouds. Now, even going through the technical things and the another terms that we have, we will understand the uh, if anybody has any questions related to the virtualization, they can ask me. Then I will move to the another topics. I can give you the time for that. Anybody has any questions they want to ask for now? All right. So what I can
Define
understand. Hmm.
define hypervisor.
Sorry.
Can you define hypervisor? What is that actually?
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I can define the hypervisor, not an issue. So let's say, suppose you have one particular hardware. Okay. Again, hardware is nothing but the combination of CPU, your memory, that's what I said, and your storage. Okay. Now, this can be your laptop as well. Okay. So let's say I'm considering this is your laptop or your computer. I'm not taking the technical terms right now. So now suppose you want to run a website or you want to utilize your computer in an effective manner. Now suppose you have two things here. What you can do is, let's say suppose you come to me tomorrow and says that, sir, what I want to do is I want to run two OS over to my computer. One is Windows. You have heard about that or you have been using this dual booting system, right? Where you can install two operating system on your computer. But the problem here is that when you use that, these two operating system over your computer, At a one time, you can only boot one operating system. Am I correct? At a one time, you will be booting only one operating system if you are not using any hypervisor or anything. I'm just giving the example so that you can understand what is the use case of hypervisor in your daily life. Now, when let's say tomorrow you have a condition that you need to boot both of your operating system at a particular time, or many operating system at a one time, then you don't have a feasibility on your hardware to do that. So what you can do is you can install your hypervisor here on your computer directly. Hypervisor, okay, where it will get installed. Hypervisor is nothing but a piece of software which helps you to virtualize your operating system or your hardware. But in our daily life, as any student said that we are using VMware, okay, so VMware is nothing but a hypervisor. Now, when you use your hypervisor over your operating system, let's say you have used Windows originally over to your computer. Now, when you have used hypervisor, which is nothing but the VMware over to your operating system, then what feasibility you will get is you can create multiple operating system, which is nothing but the VMs. We actually call them the virtual machines. So you can have multiple VMs here. Let's say VM1, VM2, VM3, VM4. Now, when you have created multiple virtual machines, what you can do is you can have multiple operating system over to that virtual machines. It can be anything. It doesn't matter. The first VM has Linux, another one could not have the Windows. Yeah, it can be anything. First one can have Windows, another can have Linux, third one can have Mac, fourth one can have the XYZ, what are the another operating system. Another thing, two benefits you are getting here. One thing is you are getting here is that you are your problem, which was a dual booting problem in your computer, where if you are not using hypervisor, you will install two operating system to your bare metal hardware, and at a particular time you would be able to boot this particular one operating system. But now here the problem is resolved. You can boot multiple operating system in your computer at a one time. Okay, but that again will be dependent upon your computer performance or your computer memory and the storage. Okay, that is the another, there's a technical part, we can discuss about that in the later stage. But for now, this is the one thing. Now you're getting multiple benefits of it. One thing is that your booting problem has solved. Another thing, but this was not a problem with the uh, general people who are getting these problems. Another benefits that company has got from the virtualization, the industries has got to the virtualization, is they are optimizing the cost. No, that's what I said. If you have to use only one, you have to use only 1 GB of memory. You can only create one VM. You don't have to get multiple VMs. In the later stage in the future, if you want to create another VMs, you can create that for your application and use it. Another benefit that we got is over utilization of your hardware. You are over utilizing the hardware. Okay. Let's say you are not over using the over utilization or over using the hardware. Have I answered your question or is that fine? Now you got it. What is the hypervisor? Who asked the question? Can you give me the answer? Hello. All right. I can take it as a yes. Okay, because I'm not getting any response. All right. So I will move ahead. So another part of the training for this particular module, which is nothing but the module one, introduction to our cloud computing. So another part of the training, I will go to the second topic, which is nothing but now we will understand what actually is the cloud computing. Okay, or you can say this topic as what is cloud. Now, as we have gone through the topic that we understood what is the virtualization, I cannot show you physically right now anything because we are just concluding our introductory part. Okay, we are understanding how cloud has emerged. When we will go to the top, when we will do some practical things over to the cloud, definitely I will tell you about the hypervisor and all. We will again come and see all those stuff. But for now, as an introductory part, we will understand what actually the cloud computing is and why it has become a necessary for today's era. Okay, what is the cloud? Now, you would be hearing multiple companies' name here. One is the Amazon, leading cloud provider. Okay, we have Azure, we have GCP. Okay, one thing I will recommend you that you ask as many questions when I enabled you, so that the class should be the like it should be not bored you. Okay, I should have questions so that I can answer them, and you should have your uh, presence here mentally. Okay. Now, the cloud computing providers in the market are majorly these three. We have multiple as well, Alibaba and Rackspace. There are multiple other cloud providers as well. I'm not going to talk about them because there are few people are using them. But the leading cloud providers in the market, one is the Amazon, Azure, and GCP. Now, what they actually do? What, why there's a need of these cloud providers for us? Okay. Now, when you talk about this IT resources, okay, like storage, IT resources, storage, network, your gateways, your operating systems, or let us talk about the hardware right now. Your CPU, your memory, your another part of the hardware. So I'm taking it as exact etc. Okay. So let's see what was the problem when we have faced when this particular resources were given by the IT industry. So let's say you are running a company, okay, and what you have decided is you have very big application which you want to host over to your data center. So data center is nothing but the combination of these particular resources. So problem for the company was like when they were using these resources, let's say suppose tomorrow you have to install you came with a request from your IT team that you need to deploy one application, okay, and that application can be utilized by the millions of people in the global region. Okay, so let's take an example kind of Facebook, YouTube. Everybody is using that. Okay, so how the big problem they would have got when cloud computing was not there. Okay, everybody using Netflix, right? So this is also the solution which has been hosted over AWS cloud. Okay, as you already know. Now, when when cloud was not there, what people were doing is they were purchasing this hardware at their own. Okay, so I can take an example for it. When for right now, if you want to go from A location to the B location, let's say you want to go from A to B location, what exactly you are doing is if you don't have your own vehicle, you are booking a cab from the Ola or Uber. Okay, you are giving rent money, whatever you have been getting the cost from A location to B for those particular kilometers, you are paying for that, and you are not owning that particular vehicle, but you are solving your problem. In the same way, when cloud computing was not there in the market, the what companies were doing is they were basically purchasing their own hardware, and it's a very costly hardware because if you talk about a server itself, the server itself, a good quality of server and the good quality of server basically would have cost at least at that time is 10 lakhs. Okay, 10 to 15 lakhs. Now, if you think about the application which has to be utilized by millions of people, there's no only one particular server which is required. If you take an example of Facebook, there's no particular one server. There are multiple data centers being utilized for that particular one application, which is being utilized into the market as a global application. Okay, because you can access application from access Facebook from anywhere. So like those kind of application, if you want to deploy, you have to purchase tons of servers, create your own data centers. Now there's a two types of cost involved here. Okay, we can understand these type of costs. So these costs are basically capex and opex. Okay, capex and opex. Now capex is something which you will use when you purchase your hardware. Okay, which is the capital expenditure, means you have not done anything till now. You have just purchased your hardware and kept it into the data center. You have purchased the land, purchased your hardware and kept it there. So is your problem resolved? No, you have just purchased the things which you require. That is called the capital expenditure. Now when you want to install the application, you need the people, right? You need the people, resources for running it. Okay, you need to have a cooling system in your data center. So these are the operational expenditures, the people who will work for you. People, or in general, I can talk about the resources which will be required to run this particular business, to run this application over these servers. Okay, so these resources basically are called as opex, operational expenditures. Operational expenditures. So now these two costs, when it is combined, it's a very big cost. And after that, if suppose your business did not run successfully, then you have lost everything. Now Amazon came with a solution. Amazon said that okay, we can resolve this problem by one way. Amazon said that I already have my website which is called as Amazon.com, right? You are purchasing your things from Amazon.com. You are ordering and getting everything. This is a very big application which is already been deployed on their data centers. Okay, means on their servers or networking, everything is being deployed from there. Now Amazon said that what I can do is, I already have been utilizing my hardware for my application. So what they have thought in their mind, that I can use my hardware for the other people. Okay, because he said that I have remained with my hardware. So what I can give it to you so that you can use your hardware for your application, and then uh, you don't have to create all these resources at your own. You rent my hardware. Okay, I will give you on the rental basis. You rent my hardware so that whenever you need, you just use this hardware. When you don't need, just shut it down. I will not take any expenditure from you. So we are saving two things here. One thing is capex is already gone. We are now no need to predefined pre running these resources. Okay, we don't have to install our data center. We do not have to create the resources. Create the resources in the advance. Okay, now this complete cost was gone. Okay, now there's the operational cost. Yeah, because suppose you have the small website, you can do at your own if you have the knowledge of cloud computing. If you don't have, then you will hire a person, hire the people in your team. You will run the application and you will have to run your business, what are the application you want to use over to the cloud computing. So this is what they came with, which is nothing but called as a sharing hardware. Okay, into the internet. So now cloud computing is nothing but uh, sharing the resources or using the resources from from the internet. Let's take an example. You have a Google Drive, right? Everybody would have been aware about the Google Drive. Google Drive is nothing but you are storing your data. Isn't is it not a cloud solution? Because you don't have the hardware within you. You are not keeping that hardware. You are not keeping those particular disks which are required for storing that data. But you have a data which you can utilize for your objects, like your files and directories, whatever files you want to store, you can store them. Okay, but over to the internet, you are downloading or you are pushing that data into the your Google Drive. So that data is going through the internet. Okay, but those particular hardware is uh, been created or used by the cloud provider, which is nothing but the Google. So the same way Amazon came with the solution. Now when Amazon started, another people also started, because these people also have their presence in the market. Azure is nothing but the Microsoft. Microsoft has provided cloud solution. Google, the very big company which has their own data center, they also thought of using that. So which we are nothing but calling the Google cloud provider. Okay. Now this was the basic thing that was required at that time to save our cost, and this is why these people has got lots of appreciation when using this type of business model. So this business model is called as cloud. But this is the very, like, this is very small thing that happened for multiple people. For few of the people, even they did not get the benefit of it. I can give the example. Okay, what I want to say. So I want to say that, okay, for a people who capex and apex, for them this particular code doesn't matter. Let's say suppose there is a company. Okay, there is a company who have lots of money with them. They don't care about the cost. They are not worried about the cost. Okay, they said that we have lots of money, we can purchase our own hardware, we can purchase our own land, I don't have to worry about that. I will not use the cloud. So what other benefit it is, this is not a one benefit that we have got. Other benefit what we have got is, like, you will see multiple companies, like if you go for the finance department, they usually prefer the cloud. Banking, still these people, I'm not saying that they are not using, they are using, but still they have a fear to use the cloud. Finance department, banking department, if you go to the another departments like government websites, they still have a fear to use the cloud computing solution, because cloud computing solution, if you think one thing, what exactly we are doing is, you have your hardware here. Okay, and over to the internet you are using those resources or hardware. So it is being utilized over to the internet, right? So that means still security concern is there, because whenever something comes to the internet, you know that hackers can attack. Okay, another thing is that the data, because see, whenever you install the application, there will be a data into the application, and that data will still remain into their hardwares, not your hardware. So these people basically fear of losing. Okay, internet security, that is very strong now in the cloud computing. At that time when it was immersed, that was not that much strong, but now right now that is strong. So they are not worried about it. They are majorly worried about the data, because data is not within you. Data is not within your data center. That is within their data center. You are just pulling and pushing this data every time whenever you need that. Whenever you want to create the application, you are using your data. Whenever you want to store something, you are storing data. That is what the mean of data center is. Okay, now these people has fear of that. Okay, this was another problem. Second problem. Okay, third problem is that still one thing is there that was a major problem, and that boost the cloud computing market. Okay, that problem was called as a scalability. I am taking another example of it. Okay, so is what is the scalability? Actually, the major reason of using the cloud computing was this particular term, scalability. Can anybody wants to elaborate it, if somebody has the knowledge of it, what I want to say? Anybody from your team? Somebody knows about it, what actually the scalability is?
Access to everyone.
Scalability is basically to increase something on a flow.
Increase something on a flow. Okay. Anybody else? Be interactive, guys, with me so I can have your inputs with me.
Sir, we can use wide area of range of services in wide area of
Wide
network.
area. Okay, wide area of services.
Multiple people should
Access on demand
access it.
or access on demand. On
Access
demand we
on
can.
demand. Okay. Anybody else wants to give another input? Okay, that's fine for me. So, yeah, you people have that sense that what scalability should be. Although one answer that I can consider is the most appropriate is access on demand. Okay. But like another one, I don't say these are the wrong answer. What you have thought of is in the good sense. Okay. Increasing the thing as per the requirement, wide area of service, that's fine. Okay. Now let me tell you what exactly the stability is in terms of cloud computing. Okay. And this is the exact this is the one term which has boosted the cloud market. Okay, which overridden all the drawback of our on-prem infrastructure. Because if you see, some people have the money. They say that, okay, I have my money available with me. I can buy my own hardware and use it. Why I need the cloud? Okay, I don't want to come with you. I don't want to use the cloud. So this is the one thing that even on your own premises, you always has a problem coming with. Okay, so let's say suppose you have seen like if you are using Amazon, you are seeing multiple sales available, okay? Like big billion sale, okay? You have Thanksgiving sale. So Amazon is providing multiple discount at that time. Like recently December went, right? In the Christmas, we have multiple sale available and some people were buying the things in the cheap prices because of that sale, right? I think you would also be right. So I was also one of them. I bought one iPhone in that sale. So how these sales actually run, and because of that, these sales I can show you the what is the mean of scalability. So this is the sale which Amazon usually gives when they want to sell multiple things at one time. Okay. Now let's suppose you have hosted this application. Okay. Let's consider the example. You have your own hardware. Let's take it this like this. So suppose you have multiple servers. Let's say server A, server B, server C, okay? And let's say you have a load balancer. Now, what is a load balancer? Load balancer is nothing but which balance the load for these servers, okay? Such that no server will have overloaded, no server will be overloaded for the traffic which is coming from the users. So let's say there is an application, e-commerce application, or any application which has been utilized by the people in the market. Okay, so let's say I can take an example over the internet, or let's say I'm calling it as a application A, app A, which is nothing but the e-commerce application where we are companies selling multiple products like Amazon, like Flipkart. Okay, now what is happening is I'm calling it a load balancer. Load balancer right now you can consider a person who is sitting here and giving the load to the server. Okay. Saying that, hey, just resolve this traffic, just take this traffic and respond. This is kind of a person right now you can consider. Okay. Now traffic is coming here into the cloud. Okay. Now suppose these particular servers have a good capacity and handle to take care of 100 requests. 100 requests means let's say 100 people log in to the amazon.com. They have request multiple products and these products was successfully placed. Okay. But when I have a three servers, but suppose tomorrow I am putting a sale, let's say after 6 months. After 6 months, right now there's a May, and in the December, what I want to do is I want to putting a sale. I want to say that, hey, I will give the discount in December for all the products that I have. And at that time, if you see one product which was costing 10 rupees, now it is costing 1 rupees. How many people will come to buy that? Because they are getting, saving their own money. So this kind of sales comes, okay? Big billion or big million, I don't know what is the name. Don't worry about that. You can consider the sale is there on the e-commerce website, okay? Now, if I don't have cloud solution, what I would be doing is I have to deploy multiple servers. Right now, there's a 3 servers, but let's say millions of people are coming to use my application. Let's say 1 million people are coming to use my application. Now, this 3 server will be sufficient to handle those requests? Tell me yes or no.
No.
No, because these servers are sufficient. We have already defined these servers will take care of only 100 requests. Now there will be millions of requests coming to this server. So our server will get crashed at that time. So we were about to do the business in the good way. We were earning something at that time, but right now our servers are crashed. We will not earning anything because already our solution is drawn out. Now, for doing that, we need the people, or we call it as a resources, to build the application over to the server, because what you have to do is you have to spin up multiple servers. Right now you have 3 servers. Let's say at that time your IT team has identified that we need 1000 more servers to handle those types of 1 million requests. Now let's say you have to spin up 1000 servers, you have to create 1000 servers. You need the people, you have to, in the advance you have to define all the configuration. You have to hire the new resources. You have to guide them how we will install the application. They will be deploying that application over to the server, your network, everything you have to take a consideration even before 6 months when you have to run the big million sale. Now, what happens after 6 months? Okay, let's say today is a day we have done everything. Now, one thing is that it has risen the cost. Okay, the cost has been rose to an extent level because we have hired the resources and everything. Now, let's say right now the server's capacity is 1000 servers. We have run the big minial sale for 2 days. Okay. Now sale is finished. We have earned whatever the profit we wanted to earn. Sale is finished. Now again you have to remove these 1000 servers to come back to your, because now originally in the normal days your IT team has identified that you are getting only 1100 requests. Okay. So you have to come back to this particular configuration again. Now to come back to this particular configuration, you need the people again to delete the servers, to delete the application, okay? And you have to sell out your servers again into the market because you don't need them. You have increased your capex. Now, for doing that, you need 6 months to do. But when you go to the cloud, okay, you have 6 months to do. But when you go to the cloud, you can do it in the fraction of minutes. In the fraction of minutes, you can create multiple server, you can delete multiple server. So what benefit you are getting is, first thing is time. You are optimizing the time, okay? Second thing is that you are basically pay as you use. So let's say if you have been using your servers through the cloud computing, Amazon or anything, first thing is that you are saving your time. You don't need the 6 months to predefine your resources and work accordingly. You don't need the people to do that. You are saving the operational cost as well. You are saving the capex cost as well. Time you are saving. If you need today to create the 1000 server, you can do with a fraction of minutes. If you want to again go back to 3 servers, you can go in the fraction of minutes. Okay. Another part, what cloud computing says is, if you are getting 1000 server for a 1 day, you have to pay for the 1 day only. I will not take the money from you for 2 days or 3 days. If you have spin up those servers for a 1 day, you will pay for the 1 day only. You don't have to pay for. But here, you have to create those resources with pre-planned with the 6 month. That means for those 6 months, you are using that hardware. Okay, and you have already paid for that. And here what they say that when you have used, just give me the bill after a month. I will take that particular as a rent for those particular server, and that's fine. Anybody has any doubt? So this is the major benefit that we have got from the cloud computing as a scalability. Anybody has any doubt to understand this? All right. So I will consider it as a yes. Okay. So scalability means nothing, just to scale up the services whenever there's a need. Okay. Access on demand. On demand, you have a 1000 servers right now. You can create it. When you don't have the demand, you decrease the quantity. You're fine. Okay. So that was the major benefit that boosted up the cloud market. Okay. Now, if you don't have any doubt, I will go to the another part of this particular training. Okay. So we have talked about the on demand. Now, another things that benefits that we have for the cloud computing, I can list it down. Over though I have gone through it, but I can list it down. So that you have you should know that. So we have talked about scalability. We have talked about elasticity. Elasticity is nothing but how your one service can have a availability to the global region. Okay, so I will talk about that, the technical capabilities of this term, when we will go to the technical part of it. Another thing is that another benefit that you got is pay as you go. Okay, but I can tell you one thing about the elasticity if you have any doubt on it. So suppose you have one server. Okay, now that server is of a low capacity. Let's say low capacity means right now this server configuration is one CPU, one 10 GB of storage, or let's forget about the storage right now. 1 GB of memory, which is nothing but the RAM. Okay. Now, when let's say tomorrow you are not sufficient with this particular hardware, you want to go with the another capacity now. Okay. Let's you say that I don't want to use one CPU. I need right now two CPU and I need 2 GB of memory. So what you will do if you are not using cloud, what you will do? You will remove this hardware. You will create another hardware of this configuration, right? You will create another VM, right? But when you go to the cloud says that you don't need to remove this particular hardware. I give you the scale, I give you the elasticity of using that particular resource, so that what you can do is on the runtime itself, within a fraction of minutes, you can go from this configuration to this configuration. So this is the perfect example of elasticity. Okay, we can stretch a particular resource. Scalability means we can, as per the demand, we can go the multiple, we can stretch the multiple resources, but as a one resource we can again increase the capacity of it, we can again decrease the capacity of it on the demand. Okay, so this is the example of elasticity. Pay as you go, these are the benefit of the clouds. Pay as you go, whatever you will use you will pay for that. If you are not using, you don't have to pay for that. Okay, so these are the some benefit that we are being using when cloud computing has came up. And obviously we have got multiple benefit apart from that as well. That's why we are learning here the cloud computing. Okay, now this was the very first thing that we I wanted to understand, that today we wanted to understand into the today's agenda. Now if you have any doubts, you can open your chats or you can ask me. If not, then I will go to the another second topic of today's agenda, which was nothing but the types of cloud. Okay, I'm considering it as it as a yes. Okay, so now I will talk about types of cloud. How many types of cloud in the market we have right now? After this topic, we will discuss about some general things which I think that would be needed to perform the job, or would be needed in your general life as well. If you are coming into the IT industry, or if you are already into the IT industry. So what are the another things that you have to consider? I will talk about the general thing, because what I see that people usually in the technical things people usually get bored, and we need to discuss another general things as well in the whenever performing any class. So let's discuss about this part and then we will go to that. So types of cloud. What are the types of cloud in the market? Can anybody give me the example, or anybody give me just define it? What are the types of cloud you have seen in the market?
Sir, public, private cloud, and hybrid cloud.
Public cloud, private cloud,
Cloud.
Hybrid.
Hybrid.
hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud. Okay. Can anybody give me the example of public clouds, private cloud, and hybrid cloud?
Sir, public cloud is like a IRCTC website that every can go and book their tickets
Okay.
easily. Yes,
Okay.
and it's all that I know.
Anybody else? IRCTC website. Anybody
Public cloud,
else?
AWS, public cloud,
AWS.
public cloud,
Okay.
uh, private cloud, OpenStack, Red OpenStack,
Private cloud OpenStack. Okay.
Sir,
and
private cloud is like a bank database, personal key, passwords that every cannot get to know.
Bank database. Okay.
I don't
What?
know about the hybrid cloud because it's a mixture of public and private. So I don't know the example of that. But I know that OpenStack is used as a private cloud because it's online on premises it works.
All right.
And AWS is obviously a public cloud.
Obviously, public
We
cloud.
are, yeah.
All right. All right. Yeah. So you have said right. Uh, One thing IRCTC, which I have got here, the example is it's not a cloud, it's a website. You can
Yes,
use it for your purpose. It's solving your purpose to reserve the tickets and all. Okay. But it's not a cloud, it's a website. Okay. If I talk about the public cloud, yeah, obviously AWS. Public means which is generally available for the public. You think in a way like that. Okay. So is that AWS only available to me? Can you not use the AWS? Yes or no?
yes,
You can use it.
yes, sir.
A third person apart from us also can use the AWS. They have to pay for the resources, use it. So that is public. That is public. That is available to everyone, right? Public means available to everyone. AWS, like Azure is also public. GCP is also public cloud because these are available to everyone. Anybody can come and use it, right? Now talk about the private cloud, OpenStack. Obviously, for the Red Hat, Red Hat has been provided as the OpenStack. You can use at your own premises solution. You can install your own servers, use it, and that will be available for you. Bank data center. Somebody giving the example bank data center. Okay, it's not a database, but I can consider it as a data center. But I got the thought what you have given. Data center where multiple servers are there. Obviously this is will be available for the particular bank. Okay, let's say for the SBI bank they have their own data center. Will ICICI bank will be use their server? Yes or no?
No, sir.
No, that's why it's a
Yes,
private property of SBI, right? So
yes,
that's why it's called as a private cloud. Now hybrid. Now what people use the hybrid, I can give you the perfect example for that. Hybrid cloud, as you said, it's a mixture of private and public both. This is fine. Obviously this is the definition of it. You can use multiple cloud in a company. Let's say company A is using AWS. Also they have the OpenStack with them. They have the vCenter, vSpheres. They have their own data centers. This is the example of hybrid cloud. Now why people use, generally what I have seen in the market is, if you have, now question would be why people use a hybrid cloud. So suppose you have your own data center, or company have their own data center. Okay. Now they're migrating. What they want is, they have decided, okay, now we want to move to the any public cloud. Okay, we don't want to use our own data center. We are having lots of cost implications. We don't want to use it right now. We are selling our servers and going to the public cloud. So right now, till the migration is going, till this activity is going, they have both this data centers, right? That's why we are calling them hybrid cloud. Another example of it which I have seen is, lots of company what they do is, They are running one application over AWS cloud, okay, and they are running the same application over GCP, because what the thing is, they want higher availability. If you know, uh, higher availability is nothing but like kind of a thing which is highly available. So suppose they have a fear in their mind that suppose tomorrow AWS data center where I have installed my application is down, okay, or corrupted or anything disaster happened to that particular data center, what will happen to my application? It will not run, right? So for that particular fear, or to resolving that fear, what they have done is the same application A they have installed in AWS cloud, application A they have, if AWS is not available, GCP will be available. There's a very rare chances that AWS data center will also have a disaster, and GCP data center for that application will also have a disaster, but that is 0.1%. Okay, it will not happen. So at the time company is using both the cloud. This is also an example of hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud doesn't mean private and public both. Hybrid means it can be combination of anything. Okay. So that's it. Anybody has any doubt can ask me.
Sir, can you give me just one more example of private cloud?
Private cloud, let's say suppose you have your own data center. Let's say suppose you don't want to use the public cloud. Okay. Let's say you have your own
Okay.
application. Okay. You want to install your application on your own server, or you want to create your own cloud. What you will do? So for creating your own cloud solution, either you can install OpenStack solution over to that. You can you have a developers who can do the modification in the code. Okay, they give it, let's say let's say my name is Kapil, okay, and tomorrow what I want to do is I want to I want to go into the market and sell my own cloud solution. Okay, so what I've considered is to create my cloud solution, I should have my data center where I will keep my servers. I will install an application over to that kind of a open stack, which is a private cloud, okay, and then sell the servers into the market. Have you heard the company about Rackspace?
Yes, sir.
So Rackspace is what? What they have done is they have created their own cloud solution, but for them it is a private cloud. If they want to use their own cloud, that's a private cloud. But when they are selling into the market, for second people who are using that particular service, is they for respective of that particular person B, that is a public cloud. Now you got a perfect example.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody has another doubt? But in general term, what you can consider is whatever the data center which you have, whatever the servers you have with your own, that is private for you. That is a private cloud only. Okay. Anybody has another question? Okay, so that's fine. I can consider yes. If nobody has any another question, let me go to the another topics that we have for today. So now comes other types of service models. This is a very good topic, but before that, as I said, let me talk about some general things uh, for today's session, which is nothing but I just want to hear some inputs from you. How many people of you are coming from the Linux background, or how many of you are developers, or how many of you are fresher? Just give me few of the inputs on that, then I will discuss about this particular general topic which I want to discuss. Anybody working on Linux? Or I can consider everybody is a fresher here. Yeah, okay. Ajay Sharma, Linux. Anybody developer
On Linux, sir.
on Linux? Okay.
Yes, I'm the Linux
Anybody
administrator
already
also.
working on the cloud?
No, I like to be in cloud, but I am not properly directly work in cloud. For that reasons, I need revision. So I am here right now.
Okay, so you are not working in the cloud, but you have some knowledge, right? That's what I'm
Yes,
considering.
actually, right now, I'm one faculty of one college in Kolkata, and
Okay.
their cloud computing and everything, every subjects are there.
Okay. Okay.
So I need to teach them also for that.
Anybody working as a network engineer or a developer? Anybody? Rajesh, not IT background. All right. Okay. So what I'm considering is here, like the people mostly have a Linux background or some people have non-IT backgrounds. Okay. Okay. So what I want to discuss about this topic is I want to give you a general path that because you came here for a AWS cloud training. Okay. Although we will cover the training, that's fine. That is my responsibility to complete this training and in the effective manner and give you all the technical aspects of this training that will be a part of this training. But in general term, if you have joined the KR Network Cloud for this training, you should also know that the training which you have opted, what are the another benefits that you will get in the market. Okay, because doing training is not our job. We want to utilize this training as a student in the effective manner. Now, if somebody is coming from the Linux, what another benefit they can get? I'm just taking an example of it. Let's say suppose you know the Linux, you already know the operating system, which I already talk about the prerequisites for this training. Okay, Windows or Linux, anything is fine. But now, when you have done the Linux, when you are going for the AWS cloud, obviously Linux will benefit you because we will create the server instances and all. We will do that. But do you think that AWS will itself be the one thing that you can learn and upgrade your jobs or uh, take the jobs into the cloud or DevOps market? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So right now the market is very competitive. Okay, in the job market. Now, if you just learn the AWS, if you are an expert, let's say suppose if you have 8 to 10 years of experience or you're very good into that, for that purpose, if you're good in Linux, you have a very good position if you have good in AWS. But the people who are the fresher, the people who just have very small experience, the people who just have entered into the IT industry. So thus those people basically, I can guide you what the another thing that you can learn. I can recommend you. I'm not saying that you should learn it or from KR Network or anybody. You can go in the market. You can learn from anywhere where you will feel good. But what another thing you should have in your mind such that parallelly you can work on them. Okay, so that you should have a very good portfolio in your resume to showcase those skills. Okay, so another thing that the basic thing that you can spend the time over to it. One thing is any versioning control tool. Okay, versioning control tool like you would have heard about the name of Git, right? You know about the Git? Anybody? Right now, lots of documentation has been provided by the Git repositories, right? You should have known about it. You should have heard about the Jenkins. Anybody heard about the Jenkins?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is that?
So basically tool,
It's a
basically
open
tool
source,
with
yeah,
open source.
open source tool to run your jobs or the pipelines. Okay.
Yeah.
Or basically, it's a open source. We not say pipeline. We will say open source tool for CI/CD operations. Okay. So continuous integration and continuous deployment. Okay. Another thing that we should know about is if you have some knowledge into the development part, if somebody have worked on Python, that's fine. If not, they can go for the Ansible. Okay, they should have at least some knowledge. If you're creating your portfolio, at least have a knowledge about the Ansible or Python. Anything is fine for me. Okay, if you have basic understanding of Python, you can write the automation scripts or even from Ansible you can do that. If you don't have a development background, then you can go for the Ansible. You have to write the YAML files. Okay, so you need to learn how we will write, how we are writing the YAML scripts.
Sir,
Another part that
in
in the yeah, please.
excuse me, sir.
Hmm.
You have told that Python or
Hmm.
Ansible and whatever. So
Yeah,
in this training, we are doing something, some scripts like that.
for AWS part we don't need that. Okay, but
Okay.
what I'm suggesting you, if you are going into the job market, okay, obviously
Okay.
someday you will go, right? Not today. So if you are hitting the job market or presenting your CV, so at that time, at least what I'm recommend is you should go through this particular, uh,
These two things I know. For that
yeah.
reason I'm asking.
Hmm. What is the question?
And that Python and Ansible.
Python, we can use two types. One thing is that you can develop your code in the Python. Okay, there's a development part. Another part, you can automate the infrastructure.
Okay.
You can write the Pythons. You can use the
As
Python
a
modules.
scripting. Scripting.
Scripting part, scripting.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Even you can use Bash shell. That is fine for me. If you have the Bash shell
Yes.
knowledge with you, that is also fine.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
it's
Is this
automation.
helpful for AWS? Anyway. Anyway. That's my question.
No, no, no. I'm not talking about AWS. AWS you can do without Python, Ansible, or Bash shell. That's fine. But what I'm
Okay.
saying that when you are, because when you learn the AWS,
Yes.
you should also have this knowledge. I'm recommending you, okay, so
Okay.
that if you are presenting your portfolio in the market, you should
Okay.
have multiple job options with you.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Sir.
Okay,
Okay. I
so
now
one,
understood. Okay.
okay, now you understand. So one of the
Yes.
job market, because see, when you represent you as a AWS engineer, they also expect you to, because if you go to the market, there's no particular AWS job you will get. There are multiple types of AWS job you will get. Okay, AWS data engineer, you will see in the market, you will get AWS data engineer job, which is in the boom category right now. You will see AWS solution architect. So when you are architecting your application, don't you think that you should also know the automation part as well? Because when you are recommending something to the client, when client is asking you, okay, you have one server, okay, they are asking you, you said that okay, we should create 10 server, but how, let's say tomorrow they want to have a 1000 server, you recommended that as a solution architect we are using 1000 server, so how you will install particular application in those 1000 server? You should have a automation part as well with you, right or not?
Sir, it is mandatory to learn one coding
it's not a
language
mand- it's not
to
mandatory, that's what I said, but if you go ahead in this journey, you will sometime, if you have this particular knowledge with you, it will be beneficial for you.
no, sir. My question is that
Hmm?
if I want to learn this tool Git or CIDC pipeline Ansible,
Okay.
so it is mandatory to learn one coding language like Java, Python.
No, 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 it's not mandatory.
It's easy to understand directly
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
Git or C.
Yeah, yeah. It's easy
Okay,
to understand.
okay,
Okay.
sir.
If
Thank
you
you.
have some basic understanding of the operating system or commands, any
Okay,
commands, it is easy to learn. Okay.
Linux is enough to
Linux is
learn
enough. Yeah.
more about.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Linux is
thank.
enough. Okay. But that depends upon the instructor, how he is guiding you. So that's depend upon him as well and your passion as well to learn that. Okay.
Okay,
Now, another thing is that, as I said, in the AWS market, you will get multiple jobs option. Okay. So one of the job profile that I'm working on AWS DevOps engineer. So right now I am a AWS DevOps engineer. Now, when you go to the market, when you have spent lots of time, you want, you don't, they will not give you only one particular profile because they are hiring you on a good package. What the thing is, at least you should have done multiple works in your portfolio. Okay, so right now I'm handling multiple things along with the AWS. Okay, I have already have 13 year of experience. Now I am handling AWS as well. I'm handling DevOps part as well, all the DevOps tool, VCS, Python, uh, Terraform, everything. So that's, at that time you will feel that I could have learned this thing previously, okay, without, so that at that time your portfolio will look very good. Okay. Now, if you go ahead, I can recommend you, at least you should have any container technology. Docker and Kubernetes right now, these are good in the market. Okay. So you can learn these things as well when you have the time. Another thing I can recommend you, any operating system knowledge is fine for me, either Linux or either Windows. Okay. So if you go wise, go like this, you will have a good portfolio. Right now, you can do your job on anything. That's fine for me. But later stage, when you have good experience, at least you should spend some time on these trainings as well. Okay, if you have not already done it. So there's a way of doing that. I don't say that you should go like this. I have just defined the topics or the things which you should go through. But if you can also define the, if somebody asks me, sir, can you also define the way that how we should go for this, we want to learn it. Very first thing is that you should have the knowledge of the Linux or any operating system. Okay. If you are uh, good with Linux, that is also good, because right now everything is on the command based. Then you can go for the Git. Okay. Then you can go for Ansible. Then you can go for the after even after the before the Git, you can go for the Docker and Kubernetes solution, because these are also the command based. Okay. And then Git, then you can go for the Ansible, then Terraform for automation. So this is a way of learning these things. Okay. Anybody, any questions in that? This is the general thing that I wanted to discuss with you. It's not related to our training, it's not related to our topics or anywhere. This is the general thing that I wanted to discuss.
Sir, can you please tell me about the AWS certificate?
Yeah, that I will go through. We will go through. I have already have mentioned here. Okay. Anybody has any another question for this topic that I have discussed just now? All fine?
Sir, this hierarchy is good to go for future, like
Yeah,
OS,
good to go
Docker.
for future. Yeah, yes. I'm not saying that you should go with the KR. That is your choice. But you, if you have in your portfolio, because right now in the competitive job market, if you have only one skills, there's a this is not good for the portfolio or your
Yes, sir,
CV.
right, right, sir.
Okay. That's why I'm just giving the general guidelines or general information to you. If you have multiple things with you, you are open to multiple jobs. You are not only restricted to AWS.
Yeah,
Okay. So keep yourself open to the market for everything, to accept everything, not just a particular technology that you have learned and then you are just, let's say tomorrow AWS have a less jobs. Then what you will do? You will stuck there. You are not growing yourself. You will be stuck on a particular package, right? So
yes,
who will accept you? You should at least upgrade yourself to the another things as well, so that you are open to the market. Any another questions on
Sir,
this topic?
can a fresher expect job with these all skills?
Yeah, I can give you the example. My brother was having just 1 year of experience. He got the job in AWS, and he was not experienced with the AWS. He was having experience with another thing. So this can happen. Yeah, not an issue. A fresher can also get the job. Any another question? All fine. Let me go through the another topic that we have for today's agenda. Okay. So we discussed about we discussed about the virtualization, we discussed about the types of cloud, we discussed about the general thing about the general pathway of multiple jobs that we have in the market right now, which is related to the AWS. Now, another part, let's somebody told me that about AWS certification. Obviously, I will come to this. Okay. But before that, let me complete this topic, types of service model, and then I will go to the AWS certification. Okay. So in the cloud computing, again, we are coming back to the technical. Okay. So in the general discussion, you have lots of questions, but when it comes to technical part, you people have less questions. Okay. All right. Not an issue. So now let me talk about the types of uh, cloud computing models. Okay, cloud computing models. What are these types, and what is this topic is about? So when you come to the cloud computing, we majority of having these three particular uh, models. Do anybody know about it? I can ask what the name is. Somasri. Somasri, you said that you have some information about cloud computing, right? So do you know about the models, cloud computing models?
Yeah, wow,
Sorry,
all the service models.
IaaS and then SaaS.
Infrastructure as a service, software as a service, and platform as a service.
Correct. So don't worry about guys. I will explain those. The another people which don't have this particular information.
Sir,
Hmm.
please give me some exact examples
I'll
because
give you.
if
I'll give you. No
yes,
worries. No worries.
because
I'll give you.
many of students just say that AWS is a software as a service, but it's not like that. It's a provider, and there are many service. They are working as a SAS, but not exactly AWS. So if you give me the
I'll give you. Don't worry
exact
about it. I'll give you.
thing,
No
then that
worries.
will be better for us.
I'll give you. No worries. Okay. So very first thing is that the first one is called as infrastructure as a service. Okay, which we call it as a IaaS, infrastructure. Don't worry about the spellings, not an issue. I'm not good in the grammar. Infrastructure as a service, which we call it as a IaaS. Okay. Another part of it is platform as a service, as a service. Another part of it is software as a service, software as a, or some people call it as a solution as a service as well. So don't mind it, because software is nothing but a solution of a problem, right? But exact name is software as a service. Some people call it as a solution as a service. That's fine. You can accept it. Don't argue with them. Now, infrastructure as a service. When we have talked about a server, a Linux machine, or anything where you are installing your operating system, infrastructure means it's not like that they have sent you the hardware. AWS came and said that, okay, take this hardware and use it. That is not infrastructure. Infrastructure means over the cloud, over the internet, you can create some servers, you can create some resources which is available in the infrastructure of AWS. Okay. So I can give you some example of it. Like one of the service that we will go through is EC2, where we can create multiple servers. Okay. Or VMs. That is one of the great example of infrastructure as a service. Another example of infrastructure as a service is S3. Officially, this is the example of infrastructure as a service, but some people call it as a software as a service. But if you go to the documentation of AWS, you will see this is the IaaS service. Okay. What you can do is you can store your like kind of you can store your files. You can like kind of Google Drive, right? You are using Google Drive to store the device, sorry, to store the data and all. So in the similar way, the AWS has given this service S3. Okay. If you talk about the another example of it, you will see another service called as VPC, which is virtual private cloud, which is nothing but your networking, storing, installing your network and defining your network into your cloud for your servers. Okay, so this is also example of IaaS. Now, if I want to do the technical terminology over to the IaaS, IaaS is nothing but just you are using the cloud solution for your application or whatever the database or whatever the application you want to host. You till now, let's say suppose I'm using EC2. Did you got the application? or the server? Tell me one thing. Did you got any software from here? Did you got any application from here? Or just server you will get? Anybody can give me the answer?
Server, sir, we will get
You
server.
you got the server. Means you are getting the infrastructure. Earlier you were creating the infrastructure on your data center, but now you are getting it over to the cloud. So thing is same. It's a server only. Okay. If I talk about a VPC, you are defining the networking into the cloud for your application. Are you getting the application any solution? No, you are getting the networking, which is again the infrastructure. Okay. Now another example when it comes to the platform. Now let me talk about the platform here. Let's say suppose you are a developer. For developer, you are good in Python. You want to do the Python. You want to develop the code for your website in the Python. So what you need? Can you give me some inputs? What exactly you need to do that? Let's say you want to write the Python code. So how you will write? Where you will write this Python code?
Sir, I
And,
think we need a platform to write like a editor type something.
but where that editor will run? Where that editor will be used?
Sir, it will run on our hardware machine.
Sir, a console.
Hardware
It
machine.
is it is
Means
written on console.
means
We will,
at the back end we need hardware, right?
yes.
At the back end we need hardware or a VM, right? So very first thing is that you will need a VM. Then you will have to install the runtime. Runtime is nothing but the package of Python, right? It can be anything. It can be any. For another example, let's say for Node.js you have to install npm. Okay, I'm not going into the technical term because lots of people don't know about this. Okay, now I will first thing is that I will install the virtual machine. Then I will have to use the runtime. Then after that, that developer will be able to use the editor to write the code. To write the code. Am I right? Okay. But suppose you don't have a platform. I'm giving the perfect example so that you will understand this in a one shot. Okay. Now, suppose you don't have the platform available with you. Okay. What you will do? You will create the virtual machine, means you will use EC2. If you are using cloud solution, you will install Python package and then you will start developing the code. But for a developer, tell me, uh, it's a hurdle for you. The people who can work for you is, first of all, you will raise the request to the IT team saying that I need a server. Then they will install Python for you. Then you will start using it. Because you are a developer, you are doing your job. You are not here for running the servers and then installing the packages and then using those packages. You just came here to develop the code. So you said that to IT team that, hey, I don't want to do this. I just need the server which already have the Python. Okay. So if you are not using platform, you have to go through this step. But suppose you are using the platform, so we have multiple services that can be used. So one of the example which I can give you is Lambda function, which is a serverless utility. Lambda. Have somebody heard about the Lambda function? Sometime there we have a step function as well. So Somasri, have you heard about that? You were asking that perfect example, right? Of this particular functionality. I'm not targeting about a one incident. It's a general to everybody. If anybody can give me the input, that's fine. So Lambda
Yes,
is,
I get the answer.
you got the answer, right? So
Yes, sir. Yes.
Lambda is a service in AWS. It is a service in AWS which you can utilize over to the internet. Okay. By this service, you don't have to worry about the server. It's a serverless architecture. Means you don't need to spin up your server. You don't need to create your server, install the Python into that, and then write your code and develop your code, and you see that how your code is performing. Okay. So you don't need to do those steps. What you can do is you go to the Lambda directly. You use that runtime particular. You will get multiple runtime when we will go through Lambda when we will have this training sessions available, that particular module. But for time being, you directly have the predefined platform available with you. Like we wanted to have a Python platform available. We can directly we can directly take that platform and write our code and use this. This is a perfect example. Although you have multiple example as well. If you want to see, I can give you the another example of this platform as a service. You have been using Elastic Beanstalk. Okay, uh, it's a Elastic Beanstalk. Okay, you have one good example. I can tell you EKS. Although we will not go through this particular service because it's a Kubernetes service. So like if you want to use the Kubernetes, you have to install Kubernetes on your data center and use it. So here it is a good example of platform. You can directly go to EKS service, define the configuration of your Kubernetes, your worker nodes, master node, and use it. So if you don't know about this service, no worries about it. Okay, I will give you another information for this service when it will come to that particular module. But for your guidance, I will not be using this service because this is a Kubernetes service. This service basically we are using it developer part. So when I will discuss about the certification, I will go through the service which will be beneficial for that particular certification. Okay. Now, another example platform as a service is DynamoDB or your database RDS service. You can directly go and use it. Okay, your databases, predefined base of databases. That's fine for me. Now, software as a service. What comes into the software? Software means predefined solution. Like suppose you want to store your data, Google Drive, which is an example. It's a perfect example of your software as a solution. You directly use that software and you store your data. Okay. Another example is I can give you software as a service is Amazon Chime. Okay. It's a perfect example. Amazon Chime. Amazon Chime is a software as a service software as a service solution where like our Zoom meeting, right? Zoom meeting is also our software as a service, okay? Because we are directly using that software. Already Zoom has having the servers for that. Zoom having the already developed the code for the Zoom application. Now they have given you that particular solution to use it. That is a perfect. That's a solution for you. Like that, Amazon Chime is also a service, which is a software as a service. You have Amazon Workspace. Amazon Workspace. Have you people know about the Citrix? What Citrix do? Okay, the same way like Windows. Okay, Windows Workspace. Like you create a virtual machine, it already has a Windows, already has some software. Like that, Amazon Workspace is nothing but a machine which can be utilized by the client. Like Ubuntu clients, we use Ubuntu clients, right? In the similar way. So these are the example. You have another example kind of email. Your Gmail is also example of software as a service. You already installed uh, postfix. If somebody coming from the Linux background, they have used SendMail postfix service, right? So you have to create the server, you have to install postfix, send mail, and then you will be able to send the mails. But here Gmail is everything, Google has everything done for you. It's a predefined software. You use it and start sending your mails and receive mails. This is the example of SaaS. Another example you can use WhatsApp. It's a solution for you to do the chattings and all. And then you have a Facebook. So these are some example which you can utilize for your software as a service. Okay. Anybody, any another doubt on that? If I have not explained it properly or you did not understood, let me know. Any questions on it?
Sir, what is FAAS, function as a service?
Function as a service is nothing but kind of a platform itself, okay, where you will get, let's say we have a service called as step functions, okay, which is specific to a particular platform. When it comes to a particular platform, specific to a particular platform, that calls it called as a function as a service, okay. Like you will get a step function, you have another serverless capabilities. So it is not been how I can explain you is like, let's say suppose multiple runtimes are available, okay. So like when you go to the AWS cloud, I don't want to deep dive technically, but you will get two types of function. One is basically Lambda function. Another one you will get CloudFront functions. You will get a CloudFront functions, okay. So in the CloudFront functions, basically, if you know about it, what happens is that this is a specific function to the CloudFront service. Okay, this is, you cannot utilize it for another capabilities into the cloud. That is a specific tie-up to a specific service. So when this kind of configuration come, when any services, when any sub service is tied up to a specific service, we call it as a function in general. There is a functional to that particular service. So best example is CloudFront functions. Am I answered you? Anybody else? Any questions? All good? Any other questions? But moreover, the way the answer, the question which you asked, function as a service is PaaS only. That is the platform as a service itself. That is no, there's no predefined configuration of it, but moreover the platform. All good? Any another questions on it? All right, so let me move ahead to the another topic that we have today. So we have discussed lots of things here. We have discussed about the virtualization, cloud computing service models. Now somebody talk about the, sir, what is the certification? What type of AWS certification we can do? Okay, and should we do that? The question is, very first thing is, should we do the AWS certification? Is it mandatory? So as per my experience, what I will say that it's not mandatory. Just give me a moment. AWS certification. So guys, whenever you want to we want to talk about AWS certification, there are multiple certification. I will talk about that. But even before that, as a fresher or who is looking into the job market, should we go through the AWS certification? My answer straight will be, if your pocket allows to do that, you can go, because AWS certification is something Amazon will certify you. Amazon will say that, hey, Amazon will give you a certification and say that you have a specific knowledge to that particular service or particular technology in the Amazon cloud, and you are a specialist of that. Okay. So this is what the AWS certification means. But is it mandatory? I will say, if your pocket allows, then go ahead of it. If your pocket doesn't allow as a fresher, or let's say some people are already working in Linux or any technology into the IT. So some people, their companies give the reimbursement for if any certification you want to do, right? So in that case, it is good. If you are getting that reimbursement, just take the training, prepare for the exam, and clear the exam and get the certification done. But if you don't have that feasibility and your pocket also doesn't allow, then your choice is to just uh, because see, when you go for the interview or when you go attend any interview, uh, I have seen two types of problems here. When you do the certification, you just, what people generally do is they just learning those particular question, those type of question, clear the exam, and but they don't have the knowledge specific to those particular topics. Okay, but so I have seen two problems. One of the problem that we have faced about the certification is, when somebody shows us the resume saying that, okay, we want to hire a person, so what my managers or people do is, if they check the certification, they will ask more questions, because it looks like you are more specific to that cloud. Okay, you know the good knowledge of that cloud. Okay, so they will ask more questions. If you have done if you have knowledge, and if you don't have those certificates, that's fine, because very first thing is, you should have a knowledge to correct the interview. Nobody will ask you that, okay, you have particular specific certificate or not. But yeah, if you see some companies, some company have some recommendation, if they have any client where they have to deploy some resources, that client recommendation is to do that, to have that particular certificate, then it becomes necessary to do the certificate. Otherwise, as per my knowledge, the knowledge is mandatory rather than doing the certificate. If you have knowledge and then you have already good amount of experience, then go ahead and do the certificate showcase in your portfolio. That is what I have seen. Okay. Now, what kind of certificate that you can do in the cloud computing, AWS cloud computing, that I will explain you. So very first thing is that you have to go through the multiple cloud certification. So one thing is that I'm just categorizing it as per the AWS. Okay. So one thing is that one level of the certifications are, there are multiple levels. One is solution architect. Okay. Solution architect level. Okay. One category, not the level. One category of the certificate is solution architecting. Another category of these sysops. Okay. Third category, I will include like kind of developer or DevOps certificates. Okay. And another category of it would be, if I want to call, will be specialty. Okay. So specialty certifications. Now these are the subcategory of the as per the AWS recommendations. Okay, these are the subcategories of the certificates. Now, again, this is the sub parts of the certificate. Now, there would be the another kind of levels of the certificate. Okay, this is the part. Now, solution architect could have the level of associate level. If I talk about the particular certification, let's say solution architect. Okay. Now, solution architecting, which is generally called as SA, okay, would be having two types of level. Let's say one level will be associate level, another will be the professional level. Okay, so this depend upon the experience and depends upon the how much knowledge you have gained, such that you can perform these exams. In the similar way, developers level, sysops levels, you will get the multiple levels of the certificate, but these two particular levels are provided by the Amazon. Now, if I talk about that, what our training will be covered of, see, I am not providing specific to a particular certification level training, but yeah, what I will recommend is after completing my training, at least you will be prepared for these two type of certification. One is a solution architect level, another one is a sysops level. If you prepare yourself for few of these services that I can guide you, okay, if you prepare few of these services like kind of code commit, code pipelines, so these are some services. If somebody knows about it, that's fine. If somebody doesn't know, no issues, I will give you the information when it comes. And code deploy, EKS, these are the deployments level of services. Okay, ECS, if you have worked over to that, if you have some knowledge over to, or you can get it from YouTube or the Google, that's fine for me. If you also, apart from that, if you prepare for these services, then you can also clear the developer or DevOps level of certificate. Okay. Specialty certificates are for those which are specific to a particular domain. Let's say you are only working as a DevOps engineer. Okay. So you have DevOps specialty certificate. If you are specific to the database, in general database, you should know how to like query a table, how to get how many rows are there in the table. So these are the general queries in MySQL you can do. But if you are specific, let's say you're working in the big data engineering, so you have big data specialist certificate. Okay. So these are the general levels of certificates is uh, that is into the AWS. Now, if we talk about that, sir, if we are like if we are doing solution architecting, should I be able to do the professional level as well? See, my answer would be, if you can work yourself for some services which I will guide you, then you can go for associate to professional as well. That's not a very big problem. Okay, because professional is something you are professional to something. Now let me talk about solution architect first. Now, suppose we have taken this training, okay? Even if you have not taken this training, what you are understanding what solution architect would be? Can somebody give me some inputs on that? What could be the solution architecting in AWS? Anybody? Or in general, what should be the solution architect? Nobody has the inputs? See, solution architect means you are just giving solution. Let's say suppose tomorrow client is coming to you and says that, hey, I want to install an application. You are the resource come working in that company. They're asking you, hey, do one thing. We need to develop this application and deploy it over to the servers. So you have to give the solution. You have to explain them, sir, we need to have a 10 server, we need to have this storage. So blah blah blah. Multiple things you have to explain means you are providing solution to the client. But do you think that without having the good knowledge of the cloud services, you can provide that knowledge to the client? No. So for that, we need to understand deeply. We need to understand the technical parts of that service. You don't know what is the capacity, what the capability of a EC2 instance is. How you can say that we can have a 10 service for 10 servers for a particular application. So if you have learned about the capability of a service, then only you can define, then only you can give the solution. So if you see the term solution architect, it looks good while seeing it, but when you are learning these things, we have to go through the multiple phases of the technical parts of it. Okay, so kind of sysops. So that's why I'm saying if you will cover my training, you will be have two types of certification. You will be able to clear two types of at least certification, which is solution architect and sysops. So sysops is nothing but, let's say you are working as a solution architect. Now you have a good knowledge. You recommended to the client that we should have utilized this EFS storage. We should have utilized 100 servers, and you have given the solution for that application. Now, who will deploy that solution? Is it you? You will deploy that solution? No, you will have one person underneath you, which will be clarified as a SysOps certification or having the SysOps level of knowledge. That particular person will deploy that solution. But this is the as per the AWS level. When we will cover this training, you can do that multiple types of jobs as well. Okay, you can only solution architect, and you will be only able to do deploy that solution to the cloud services. Now, if you talk about the codes, like what would be the particular specific code of that particular level? So if I talk about solution architect, we basically call it as SSA 003. 002 was the last one that been used as a code, 003. I can show you, I have the multiple codes available with me. I can show you that particular one. That's not an issue. So you can have multiple certification codes available with you. Okay, this is for your reference. So you can have multiple codes available with you. Even if you go to the AWS website, you will see that we will provide you into your LMS. Okay, you can see certification cost as well, how much cost you will have for those particular levels. Okay, there's a practitioner level of certificate as well, which is a very beginner level. Okay, so if somebody doesn't have even knowledge on AWS, they will be able to clear it while taking a few beginner trainings for AWS. That's fine.
Sir, what is the code of cloud practitioner?
Code of cloud practitioners is basically like when you having like when you have taken some initial trainings for the for your AWS
No,
cloud.
sir.
Okay,
I'm sir asking for the certification code 900. It is.
sorry, where you have seen that?
Okay, sir, I don't know. I'm just asking that. Can you tell what is a practitioner code?
Practitioner code. Okay, okay, okay. Code of. Okay, okay. I did not
Yeah, code
understood
of
your question.
certification.
So code of
Yes.
practitioner will be, you
So,
can see here for practitioner code will be CLF C01. Okay. If it is updated, then we can go through the website and see that, not an issue. That you can go and see it here. If you want to see, you can go to the, just give me a moment. I will guide through the, not an issue. AWS practitioner code. Okay. Cloud practitioners. Basically, it's a cloud practitioner. CLF C02. That's what we have defined here. Okay. CLF C02.
Okay, sir. Right.
It's a
Yes.
C01 was, see, if you see somewhere C01, that is an older version, means they have implemented some new, they have defined some new topics, they have upgraded their curriculum, and then they have given the new version C02. That is something you will see, but don't worry about this. Basic code will be same. Like for practitioner, it's a CLF. If you go for the solution architect, you will usually see SAA, solution architect level, a solution architect associate. Okay, so this kind of code you will see. We will give you the updated code versions of it, not an issue. All right.
Sure, sir.
Now, we have talked about the deployment models as well. So that is what also we will give to you. We have a complete PDF that we will provide it to you. Okay. So I hope I have been covering this topic carefully and effectively. If you have any doubts, just let me know. Then I will go through the syllabus of our particular AWS training. What the syllabus we will cover, because I don't think we have a time right now. We have a half an hour available with us, so we can discuss some general things over to that. All fine? Any certification questions? Anybody has? Why to do, what to do, what codes, what not? All right, so I'm considering it as a yes. Then I will go through the our syllabus part, what exactly we will be covering, because you should know that what exactly the things we should cover it. Okay, what exactly the things or the topics we will go through this particular training. So let me for that, okay, I'm not using MS Paint. Let me go through the syllabus part itself. So if you see here, SAAC03. Our training code is SAAC03. It's for solution architect, but don't think that, as I said, will be for solution architect only. You can cover multiple certification. Even you would have a good practical knowledge as well. Okay. So if you see here, we have 14 hours of duration for, we have decided to go with the 40 hours of duration for this particular training. Okay. Now, the one thing that we have covered today is what is cloud computing, benefits of cloud computing, types of cloud services, cloud deployment models. Okay. Introduction to the AWS. Okay. Although these topics are left, we will cover it. Not today, by tomorrow, definitely. Okay. Because in the as the initial phase I will go slow, so that you should have the understanding of the topics itself. Now another part is second unit which we will cover is elastic cloud computing, which you generally call it as a server. Okay, so the server is nothing but the EC2 instance, so we will cover all the aspects of EC2 instances. Okay, configuration of it, scaling of it. We talk about the scaling. Okay, scaling of it, storage, how many storage options are available for our server, where to use, why to use, what to use. So all those aspects we will cover. Then in the unit third, we have the identity and access management, where we will learn about how we will use this particular service to grant access for the user who wants to come to us and use the resources into the AWS. Okay, because in your company there will be 1,000 users, or let's say in your company there are 100 people who have access to the cloud. So you can't give the same access to them to use it, because somebody is developer, they will be using developer services. Somebody is solution architect, they will be using solution architect level services. So somebody is SysOps engineer, so he will be using only SysOps level of services. So to define the granular access of it, we will be using IAM. Okay. And IAM is moreover to that, we will cover at that part at that time. Amazon VPC, where we will learn about how we should define the networking solution to our AWS cloud. Okay. Suppose you have 100 server, what IP you want to assign. Okay. Where your traffic will go through. Will your traffic will go to the internet or not? So those kind of all these stuff we will cover in VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. Then we have a storage solution in the Unit 5. Storage means how many types of in general storage are available to the AWS cloud, Amazon S3, EBS, EFS. Okay, we will learn about all those stuff. Then we have a database service available with us, which is nothing but the Amazon RDS, Relational Database Service. Okay, in this service, we will learn about database engines, or the database service. Engines is nothing but a server. We sometime for the database people they refer engines as a server. Engine is nothing but a server, database servers. MySQL, PostgreSQL, MariaDB, there are multiple. So we will spin up those instances and run some few basics database commands and see the aspects of the database, how we will manage those databases in AWS. We will learn about those things, how backup will be performed, higher availability will be performed, scalability will be performed, those instances we will see. Then we have Unit 7, monitoring and security. For monitoring, there's a very basic service that you should know if you are AWS engineer, any kind of level, the CloudWatch and the CloudTrail. You should know who is accessing your AWS cloud. Let's say tomorrow I have access to your account and I'm deleting your resources. You would know, how would you know that? So that part will be covered in AWS CloudTrail service. How much CPU is being used for your server? You have 1000 server in your AWS account. How you would see that? So your CloudWatch will be beneficial at that time to report those kind of things to you directly. Okay. Then we have some advanced services, as we have talked about AWS Lambda. We have elastic load balancing, load balancers. We have AWS CloudFront. We will see how we can deploy um, a cloud network delivery part. Okay, content network delivery. Okay, like YouTube, you are doing streaming, right? You have a videos coming to your mobile instantaneously. How they are coming? Because of this CDN solutions only. Okay, like Netflix. If you see, you are instantaneously seeing or streaming the videos. Earlier time, when we don't have that much network capabilities, those videos were lacking. Okay, now we have good network capabilities. Also, we have a CDN solutions. CDN is nothing but caching solutions, caching your data at your edge location. That technical terms we'll talk about tomorrow. And this is one of the service that we will learn about Amazon CloudFront. Then we have a AWS Cloud Formation in the advanced services, where we will see how to automate cloud solution creation, cloud creation solution part. Means how you will, uh, let's say suppose you have multiple application and you have multiple services for that application. Your application is using S3, your application using EC2, multiple services are being used for that particular one application. But you have hundreds and tons of that application. You have a very big infrastructure for your company. Then how you can manage that infrastructure, that big infrastructure? That's where the AWS Cloud Formation will come into picture. Okay, and we will see. We will learn about it. Then see, when we have done this services, few of the services that we have now, somebody will go and see over the internet and says that, sir, you have not covered with few of the services that I have seen, which is good to cover. So SNS is the one. Okay, SQS is the one. SNS is nothing but your simple notification service. So don't worry about these small services. Okay, these services will be covered itself. When I talk about the SNS, it will be covered itself into the Amazon CloudWatch, because we will be learning about the CloudWatch. So we will send a notification to our uh, Slack channels, or we can send the notification to our Gmail boxes for that particular alert. So at that time, SNS will be covered, SQS will be covered. So don't worry about the small services which are specifically not mentioned here, but will be covered the part of this particular training. Okay. So I'm not saying these are the two services which will come underneath of AWS CloudWatch, but rather than there are multiple another services as well, which I have not mentioned here, but don't worry about those services. We will be covering those as well as a part of, like load balancer. We will be covering auto scaling group, target groups. So I have specifically not mentioned those part of here, but will be covered as a part of elastic load balancers. Now, when we have done this type of modules covered, then we have the understanding of architecting the best practices. What are the best practices which have been used for AWS architecting? Okay, that we will cover. And once this is covered, we will take a few of the projects. Not only we will cover the training, also we will do few of the projects on this training, so that you will have a real time experience with you, such that you can apply to those jobs and give the interviews effectively. So for that purpose, I have defined some projects here, okay, that we will cover. So the KR Network Cloud has defined some specific projects for you that we will implement for the AWS Cloud solution, and that's what we will cover into that. So basically, 5 projects. I will see if time will allow me, then I will take another project. But for the time being, as a documentation, we have defined 5 projects. We will be going through that. So this is what we will be covering, and these as a solution architect level, if the exam you are preparing after this training, then you will have this duration 130 minutes, 1000 marks, and for passing marks you should have 722 720 marks you need for the passing of solution architect level certification. All right. All right, anybody has any doubts in this particular modules or particular training part, seeing this syllabus, or anything which you want to mention which is not being covered, or you think that should be the part of this training, then I can give a guidance over to that.
Hello,
All,
sir, Naveen this side.
yeah, Naveen, tell me.
Yeah, actually there are some media services also on AWS. So actually I want to know about them. So can you help with
What
that?
what media service, can you take up the name of it?
Yeah, like Media Live and their Elastic Transcoder, like they.
Elastic Transcoder. Okay. I think these services are not a part of this training, but in
Yes,
general,
yes, it is not part.
yeah, okay. So what you want to go about it?
No, I just want to know will you help to learn something about that also?
Yeah, see, if any specific person have is, that's what we will cover into the queries part, okay? So I will give you some time in the week where you would
Okay,
have your queries, okay? If you have such kind of service documentation, if you need some help from me for these services, definitely I will cover those part into uh, that particular session parts, means your queries part. Anything else
okay.
that I can, that you should recommend me, or anything that you see that it is not covered as a part of this training? All good?
Okay.
Anybody else?
Is migration is covered in here?
Actually, migration is a very broad term. If you see, the migration itself is, if you talk about my company, so we are doing migration from last 3 years. So it's a very broad term in speaking. But yeah, in general migration thing we will cover, that we will talk about how like how we will, when we are migrating our EC2 instance, when we are migrating our on-prem servers to cloud computing servers, when we are migrating database. So what are the things you should take care, and we will see some practical examples of it. So that part will be covered. But if you see, if you talk about migration of one data center to whole AWS account, that part is difficult to say itself, because companies are also struggling. That's why they are using hybrid cloud, right? So that particular part we will cover, but not up to that level where you see that whole data center we should migrate, because we don't have that capability right now. Like, we don't have data centers available to us. We will be using VMware as our servers and another solution. So I will give you the guidance. I will give you the real time examples of working on those services. That will be fine for me. Okay. But that will be covered in the service itself. I have not defined anywhere. That will be covered, because if you see Amazon EC2, so we will talk about how to migrate the servers as well. When you talk about S3, we will talk about how to migrate the storages. Okay, from your on-prem data center to the cloud, or from A location to the B location. That's fine. That I will cover. Anything else? All fine? Nobody has any another doubts? Okay, so if nobody has that, then I think for today's session we can close it. Okay, and then by tomorrow we will be covering all the technical aspects of this training. Today, what we have covered is just what we will be learning, and I just prepared your mind so that you should have thorough you should have a knowledge at least so that you will be prepared about this training. And one more thing I will guide you is that whenever we are performing this training in the weekend, at least you should have some hours to spend on you, at least 1 or 2 hours at least. Whenever, let's say, suppose we are covering EC2 today, so you should also go and try it yourself. Until unless you won't do that, it won't come. It practice makes a man perfect. Okay, so if you do it yourself, whenever I'm doing, you will get the recordings, you will see that recording and try to implement those solution at your own as well, such that you will have good practice. And once you have a good practice, you will not forgetting those particular training into your mind, so it will be always into your mind. Okay, so the more practice you will do, the more knowledge you will have. All right. So I think I have covered everything which I have to cover today. Tomorrow I will cover the AWS global infrastructure, how accounts will be created in AWS, and then how the basic services will be used at least. So that will be part of the training tomorrow, and we will connect the same time tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone. Sham, you have anything to tell for today? I think Sham is also there, right? Sham has connected or not? Okay, guys, so I will be disconnecting this session for today if you don't have any doubts. So this is the last time I am asking. If anybody has any doubt, then can ask me, then I will stop this training, stop this recording, and will disconnect.
Sir, this course is particularly for architect level, right?
No, that's what I said. This particular training is not for the architect level. This particular training will prepare you for solution architect level, sysops level, and if you learn yourself few of these services, then you can go for the DevOps level as well, AWS DevOps level. So in general, by this training, when you have completed, you will gain some experience, you will have some knowledge such that you can perform this type of certification. But I'm not specifically talking about the certification. You will at least have some capability to apply for the job market.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All
Thank you,
right.
sir.
All right. So Sham, do you have anything? Should I close this
Uh,
session?
Hi, Kapil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. If you think like we have covered up everything, so we can close for the today.
Yeah, I have covered everything which I have to cover today. So I will
Hmm.
start it tomorrow by the technical things.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Okay. All right. So
Guys, let's connect tomorrow at same time. Okay. And if you have any query, you can post your query in